Hey guys, I'm here. Come check in. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Happy Tuesday. I'm excited to be here with you guys. We're going to continue the conversation about family and holidays. And I know you guys like, how much more can we talk about Paris? Listen, trust in me that it's much more that you can talk about. It is something that I think we don't talk about publicly enough, right? We say the little sly remarks like, oh, man, I gotta go here today. Or we say the stuff like, man, I'm so stressed out dealing with this and that. We even have the reactions that keep us in a state of anxiety. But yeah, we don't really honestly talk about what we can do and understand that it's not just us. It's actually very common. So much so that there are real ways to address this. And you don't have to feel that doom or the idea that you just have to suffer silently. You can actually see what real solutions are. And today I want to talk about what that looks like. Hey, Mom. I love you. And so come on in the room. I'm going to start as soon as I can. It's not going to be a long live. Matter of fact, I just got a couple of tips on things you can do to engage your family in a more holistic way and to be able to do so in a meaningful way, right? I 100% believe it's quality over quantity, right? I might not be able to see you every single day for 365 days a year, but when I do see you, I want it to be quality times that's memorable, where we were both intentionally present, we're both, all of us are there and we are functioning and operating in a way that we value each other's time and attention, right? Everybody wants to feel valued, right? Everyone wants to feel like they're they're getting that reciprocal energy. And so definitely want to talk about that. I know if you saw my topic, particularly today. So last week I talked about what if it was a past issue. And the reason I talked about that was because sometimes we believe that, oh, it happened so long ago, to bring that up is perpetuating the issue. And I just don't happen to believe that's true. I believe that an issue unresolved, unaddressed, will become a wound that is untreated, undressed, and becomes infected. And therefore, it's going to cause issues. And eventually, you'll cut that part of your body off because it's so infected and it's so dead. Same thing with relationships. You don't deal with an issue, it will fester, it will grow, it will get infected, and then you'll soon enough have a severed relationship with that person. Even if you see them. I hate when people say stuff like, well, I see them all the time. But do you guys have a relationship that's deeper than the surface level? Is it deeper than just saying, hey? Does that person know anything about you more, intimately? Do they know what things you're going through and vice versa? Do they know the things that you love and hate? Then if not, you don't know them. You just see them. Listen, I see people at work regularly. They don't know me. There's some that do, but most of them don't. Those are not relationships because I see them regularly. So you can see somebody regularly. Heck, news flash, you can live in a house with somebody and not have a relationship with them. You don't agree with me, that's okay. But it's realistic. You have to foster the relationships you have. And when we talk about family, sometimes we believe these relationships automatically exist because of the relation. You can be related to somebody and not have a relationship with them. And I know you guys know that, but I'm going to say it again. You can be related to somebody and not have a relationship with them. So it's very important to not assume that just because you see them, you've been seeing them, that you guys have a relationship and it's good. Just because people think lack of conflict means that it's a good relationship. That's not true either. Just because you guys are not arguing doesn't mean that there's no relationship. So if you guys had a relationship at one point and then you stop talking, you stop keeping up with each other, you stop sharing things, whether or not you guys argue or not, the relationship has been severed to a point where there's no communication. So sometimes you can be in the middle of a situation where you thought, oh, well, something happened years ago. That's no longer a big deal. I'm sure that that has no bearings. But you got to look at it. Has you all relationship changed since that situation? And if the answer is yes, then that it calls for a conversation, because it could be a small misunderstanding, but most likely there was an issue that was there that was not dealt with. And I know a lot of people don't like conflict, but sometimes I don't call it conflict all the time. Sometimes I call it critical conversations. Critical conversations have to happen in order to heal. You know, we run around here singing, I ain't never scared of nuck if you buck. You know, people willing to, buck up with people with stuff that's non-significant. But then when it's time to talk and be grown up and talk about things like, you offended me, you said this about my family, you didn't show up for me in this event in my life, you hurt my feelings, you were not there in the death of my mother. These are real conversations. People won't have those conversations because they're scared of the results of what they're going to open up and that wound they'll open up. But they'll cuss out somebody in the grocery store for butting in front of them. Critical conversations are necessary to any relationship. If you have a relationship, you've never had a critical conversation, either the relationship is not grown to a point enough where you have even, went through anything. Maybe y'all are in a new relationship, maybe you just met a new friend. You guys haven't went through anything yet. If you got to a point and you've been with knowing somebody for years and years and years, and you guys never had one argument, there's some dishonesty going on there. And I'm not saying argument as far as yelling. No, I'm saying you're not going to agree on everything. So if you don't have any critical conversations, most than likely somebody's not living in their truth. There's a people pleaser amongst, and then there might be a manipulator amongst as well, right? It's just all these different things that could be happening. So anyway, that's what I talked about last week, was old situations that we didn't deal with and wonder why they become barriers to things like family gatherings. Okay, we know we just came out of COVID. We know that most people are like, hey, I want to be with my family. Life is short. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so let's be around each other. But like I told you, that is going to wear off in a minute. Why? Because feelings and emotions, those bubble up, and if you can pretend like it's wonderful or not, but let's be honest, there's some people you still don't talk to even though COVID happened. Let's just be real. Let's just be 100% real. So that thing of being grateful and having gratitude, that's great, but let's talk about some real resolution with our families, because if you do want to get together for the holidays, and this is time that's going to come up pretty quickly, then we got to get to the root of some of this stuff. So before I was talking about old wounds, today I'm talking about, but what if it just happened? Example, what if y'all just got together for Thanksgiving and somebody got into a huge argument, some things were said by both sides that were not nice, that were not family-like, and some feelings were hurt and there was some damage done. You might have vented and said, you know what, I'm not even doing this family thing again. This is a bad, decision. That was whack. I'm not dealing with that again. Or there could be a situation where you came to the family event and maybe you're having infertility issues, and that aunt, that cousin that's kind of loud, that's kind of all over sometimes, a little nosy, was like, when you gonna have a baby? You know what I'm saying? I know that when y'all gonna be pregnant? I've been waiting and waiting, and they don't have any idea what's going on with you, and it created anxiety for you, and you're upset at that person, but you don't even know what to say because you really don't want to put them in your business. You really don't want them to be knowing that you're having those issues, but then at the same time, it's not their business to spew all over the family and be all in your face either way. So you're upset at them, and you really just want to avoid being around them. Or what if somebody recently passed away and the funeral situation, because they say people act up during, what do they say? People act up during weddings and funerals. I'm trying to remember if they say during baby showers too. I think it's just weddings and funerals. They say your family will act up the worst during weddings and funerals. And so, what if somebody just that you love, that you really cared about, it could be your mother, or you could be your siblings or whatever, somebody really close, and then you and a close family member got into some situations about resolving their last wishes, or dealing with the things that really were hurtful, really hurtful. Um, I've seen people not talk for years behind something like that. Do you hear me? Years, months, years. I mean, for real. So you're saying to me, like, Paris, like, it's too new. It's too new. There's no way I'm going to go back into the lion's den to deal with these situations. And it's so fresh like this. You can't expect me to behave or react well in a situation where it just kind of happened. And so I want to address that. First of all, in no way is every situation the same. I just gave you 3 different scenarios in which it could be. And there could be tons and tons and tons and tons more. And even if I did name one situation that's alike, the characters in each story are interchangeable. Therefore, their motives are different. Their experiences that they've dealt are different. And just like I told you, you got 4 people in the same room, experience the same thing, and have 4 different accounts of it. Why? Because we all have our own minds, we have our own souls, we have our own ways and filters of experiencing and thinking of things, and we still can be all correct, but just in our own lenses, right? So what does that mean? That means that it's so much room for misunderstanding and misinterpretation. There's so much room for a dispute, because if you think your way is the right way and you're not willing to be wrong or hear the other person, or even be willing to understand that there could have just been a misunderstanding, then you're going to always come up against conflicting situations. And so the first thing that you do in that situation, and I'm not saying it's a certain situation, and I'm not saying that this is a one size fits all, I'm just giving you some solutions. I would like you to reframe the idea around what happened in that conflicting moment. And the first question you have to ask yourself is this person important to you? Is this relationship worth saving? Is this person somebody who you can see yourself ever speaking to again, ever seeing again? Or do you just think that you're just trying to give them a timeout until they realize what they did wrong, and hopefully they'll realize how much they messed up and not ever do it again? Like, is that the situation? Which one of those, right? And the reason I said that is because sometimes, and let's not assume just because it's family that you say, oh, of course I want to be around them. Let's just be honest. Let's just keep it 100. There are some people that if you don't ever talk to again, you're like, hey, I'm not trying to do that, but it's okay. It's cool. Because they're just not really close to you. You're not their cup of tea, vice versa. They're not your cup of tea, even in your family. But then there are some people that you're really close to and they hurt your feelings really deep, but really you cannot see yourself not ever talking to them. Or sometimes if you in that moment say, oh, I'm just so mad at them, I don't want to talk to them right now. But that's because your emotions are high. You're upset because they do care about you. I always tell people the more upset you get about what somebody does to you, that means that's the more they care, that you care about them. And again, there's exceptions to every rule, but generally speaking, if somebody close to you did something, it hurts 10 times more than a perfect stranger. Okay. And again, exceptions to every rule, but you have to think about that. So let's say you're really mad at somebody because they should have known better. They should have never did that. They shouldn't cross that boundary. And you're upset at them, and they got to do a whole lot to get past this with you, rightfully so. But that doesn't mean that you can see yourself without them in your life. So sometimes we have to be very careful about our temporary emotions, our temporary feelings dictating permanent decisions, right? And then we also have to be thoughtful of what unforgiveness looks like, right? So let's talk about it. Somebody can hurt you, and rightfully so. But at some point, you need to forgive them. You need to process it and forgive them. And you're saying, well, Paris, that's just no, I'm not ready to do that. I'm not gonna do that. That's your choice to say that. But you guys know how big I am on unforgiveness. And it's not just me. Look it up. You don't have to believe Paris. Look up the effects of unforgiveness on your body, on your soul, on your mental health, on your journey in life. Unforgiveness will literally, hear me, guys. Unforgiveness will literally kill you. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Unforgiveness will literally kill you. It's so interesting. I love the stories when I see stuff like somebody. Well, I don't love these stories, but let me quantify that. Whenever you see somebody's who child was killed, or their mother, or somebody that was like senselessly killed by somebody that they didn't even know, or they didn't know, it doesn't matter. Their life was taken prematurely. There's always this interesting dynamic that happens when that parent or the loved one publicly goes to court and they say, I forgive you. The person who did it to them, like during their trial, they're like, I want you to know that I forgive you. I think this one guy, he did the most, it was the most riveting act. I believe that not only did he tell the guy he forgave them, but he testified on the behalf of the guy at the sentencing hearing. And he wanted them to not serve any time. He said that he was the same age as his son that he took. He says he believes that because of his past and his family upbringing, he didn't have correct guidance, and that he believes that if things were different, he wouldn't have made that careless decision, and that he forgave him, and he actually wanted him in memory of his son to live the best life possible, change his life, and do good. And a lot of people are like, well, it couldn't be me. I would never do that. It couldn't be me. But what you just witnessed there was somebody who realized that not only can I not sentence you to my anger forever, and even if I feel like you should feel it, I have to forgive for me. I have to forgive for me. The longer that you hold unforgiveness inside of your heart, the longer that you hold that grudge, it's killing you. It's like, I don't know, something. If somebody, I don't know, if somebody broke into your car and stole all your stuff, and you have the ability to go ahead and fix your car window so it's back to normal, but you say, nope, I'm not. I want everybody to see what happened to me. I don't want them to forget of the damage that was done. So then you go around driving around with 2 bust out windows forever. That's silly, right? It sounds silly, right? Okay. That's what you're doing when you are harboring unforgiveness. You're doing the exact same thing. You're saying, I'm going to punish you for what you did to me, but it's going to hurt me. But I understand, but I want you to see how you're hurting me. And that's going to be my validation for doing what I'm doing. I want you to visibly see I will hurt myself because of you hurting me, because I want you to see and suffer. And what you don't understand is that it's like a two-edged sword. You're trying to stab them and punish them, but you're actually stabbing yourself every time you're doing it. It's a tricky, tricky thing. I've heard people say, don't forgive them, forgive them for yourself, which I 100% agree with. But there's another part past, if you really want to get into enlightenment, there's a part past where you forgive them as well. But that's the whole thing with grace and mercy that y'all just not ready for yet. I'm not going to go there yet. But let me tie it back into this whole situation where we're talking about family and current hurts. If somebody currently hurt you, if somebody recently hurt you, did something offensive, the only way you're going to get past it is to make a decision that's not emotional based, to forgive. Now, I know you're saying, well, Paris, no, this is logic based. I'm not about to forgive them because of what they did. It's not logical sense. If I forgive them, they're going to run all over me. And I disagree. I believe you can forgive them, clear your heart, and then put up a boundary. Y'all know my favorite word is boundaries. You can put up a boundary. What does that mean? For people who don't know, a boundary is just um, it is a fence around basically you're giving parameters around your being, um and that's saying, hey, i I control the atmosphere around me, mentally, emotionally, physically. Y'all, those are like, we don't even want, y'all don't even want to get into it. There are all type of boundaries. There are physical boundaries, like, hey, you can't touch me. Like, don't even touch my arm without my permission. Don't, like, please don't. Don't give me a hug without my permission. Like, there are physical boundaries. There are mental boundaries. Hey, you don't get to live in my head rent free. You don't get to um torture my mind by you said something negative to me and me carrying it and saying it over and over. No, you don't get to do that. And their emotional boundaries. You don't get to gaslight me. You don't get to make me believe that you don't get to hurt me and then make it seem like it was something I did. And now I'm sitting here second guessing myself. My self esteem is in question, and now I'm all over the place. You don't get to do that. So you can put up boundaries in all those different areas to make sure that people don't overstep and injure you. Why are boundaries cool? Boundaries are cool because you can say, I want to have a relationship with this person, but I can't control how they act and how they move. But yet I'm not fully ready to cut them off because I do love them and I do want to be around them. But I have to be around them with boundaries. It's the equivalent of, hey, I want a dog, but I don't want my dog running off. So I have a yard and the dog is going to be encompassed in the yard so that he can't run out and just run into the street and get hit by a car. Same idea. Or I'm keeping the burglars or the strangers out of my yard from taking my dog. Therefore, I have this fence up. Same idea. So when it comes to family time, when we're talking about boundaries, that comes up because when you talk about forgiveness, that's the only way to move forward. You have to choose. Forgiveness is an action word. Well, forgiveness is a noun, but to forgive is an action word. Just like love is an action word. You cannot just say, I love you out of my mouth. You show your love by actions. Same thing with forgiveness. You can say, I forgive, but really, forgiveness is moving on and saying, you know what? I'm no longer going to be bound by that action. I'm not going to replay those events in my head. It's not going to be sitting in my forehead all the time and me always reliving and thinking about it. I choose to forgive that person. I choose to forgive that moment. Heck, I even choose to forgive myself, any parts I played in it. And if I didn't play any parts in it, I choose to forgive myself for holding on to it as long as I did, because parts of me were compromised because of me holding on to it. And I mean, yeah, something could have happened a week ago. Maybe don't beat yourself up about that. But there are people who hold on stuff from 10 years ago. And it's y'all only hurting yourself. I know some people still don't believe that, but really, yeah, there's some people who haven't forgiven people who passed away already. Let's talk about it. It's some people still mad at people in the grave. So you better start dealing with your stuff because it's only hurting you. It really is. So then when we talk about families and dealing with the current drama, current offenses, um, forgiveness is a choice. You can choose to forgive somebody. And I'm telling you, I personally know I would tell you guys about this one situation, but it's just too personal. But let me just say, there was somebody who did something very hurtful to me that was very close to me, completely hurtful, and it really just betrayed all my trust. I'll be honest with you. It took me, but it really just hit me in the gut. My feelings were hurt. I was offended. I felt like they put me in harm's way, and I was right about all of that. No, that's none of that. What I said was a stretch of the imagination. All those things occurred. But it was so hurtful to me I literally, when I thought about it and when I talked about it and when I got around that person, my stomach hurt. And I learned early in life that I'm a person who cannot take stress too long. Like, I don't do well with confrontations. I don't do well with constant, like, I don't do well with constant bickering, constant confrontation. You know, you meet or you around people, and every time you go there, it's almost like it's a storm. Every time y'all meet, and it's like, I don't do well with that. I don't even do well at the thought of coming to see somebody that I know I have conflict with. It eats me up. And it physically eats me up in my stomach. My stomach literally will burn, just do everything horrible. And it will be like that until I calm down my nerves. Which is how I knew a long time ago that stress literally really can kill you. So for me, I knew I was going to be at a function where I was going to see this person. And I had so much anxiety around it. My stomach was off the chain. I didn't feel good. I was getting a headache. I felt lightheaded. It was so much weirdness going on. And I was just like, this can't be life. This is before I knew about all this mental health stuff. This was like 10 years ago. I said, this can't be life. Like, somebody gets to do something wrong to me and I get to be the one stressed out every time I see them. I get to be the one to live with stress and hurting and all these horrible feelings. That's not fair. And that's the moment that I said, nope. I decide to forgive, because not forgiving is going to keep me in bondage. It's going to keep me feeling these pains, the stress, having headaches. I'm willing to believe a lot of these people with these migraines are holding on to stuff that they never forgave. And I'm not going to debate that with anybody who has migraines. There are some physical reasons, but doctors will even let you know a lot of times it's a lot of stress, things that you hold on to. But yeah, I had to make a decision. I said, I can't live like this. I'm not going to be in this constant level of pain because I'm not letting this go. And mind you, it was recent, but I knew I had to go to an event where I was going to see this person and I wanted to enjoy the event. So I made a conscious decision to forgive. And that was like the fastest I ever forgave something. And let me tell you something. It was a huge, huge, huge thing they did to me. It was horrible. Matter of fact, after I forgave and I told a couple of people what happened, they like, what? You a fool. You crazy. Why would you forgive them that quick? Why would you act like everything's okay? Why would you this? You being a crazy person. I said, no, I'm not expecting you to understand. All I'm telling you is this is what I had to do for my sanity. And honestly, it was the best decision I made. Because guess what? Me holding on to it didn't change what happened. That person wasn't punished by me being sick and sad and mad. They didn't even know. They was doing their own thing, So it had no, like, harboring and keeping those feelings don't really resolve anything. All it does is cause you more heartache. So I know you're like, Paris, this is not a good solution. I'm sure this is not a popular solution, but yeah, my first solution that I give you is if somebody did something that really hurt you, choose to forgive. It's a choice. It doesn't have to be emotional led. Listen, I didn't emotionally, like, let's say this. I didn't feel like forgiving my family that did that to me, but I chose to. So I made a decision. You know what I'm saying? I didn't wait till I felt like it, because if I waited till I felt like it, it would have been a long time later. But I chose to free myself from that feeling and in turn free that person. And it was one of the best, most mature decisions I made. And I think it really led the way for me understanding that you don't have to be emotion led. It don't matter about how you feel. So if somebody offended you, but you care about them and you care about them deeply, reconsider the idea that you can choose to forgive so that you can even be in the same room and deal with the situation, have a conversation that might heal some of it. Might not deal with all of it, but it might heal it. So that's my first solution. And I know that that's not an easy one to swallow. I'm not saying that that's something that's just so easy. Oh yeah, by the way, just forgive them for everything that they did. I'm not saying it's that easy. I am saying that it is the idea that how to say this. It's the idea that I can choose and I'm not bound by this idea that these bombs are gonna as I'm walking in the minefield and it's just somebody gonna trigger me and I have no control over how I'm gonna react and they have no control over what they're gonna say and I'm just in this pit of uncertainty. It doesn't have to be that way, right? You can choose I told you can choose how you react to things. You don't have to react. You can respond, right? Responsiveness is intentionality, is intentional, and reactiveness is more uncontrolled. And this is what we tend to believe we're just reactive. And you don't have to just be reactive, right? Okay. And then so that's one way. Another thing is I think you should all think about the idea and understand that no family function is going to be perfect. So if you're scared of the fact that somebody might say something to you and or trigger you and or do something to cause you to the issue to be brought up and that's why you're choosing to avoid it, let me have you think of it this way. You're probably right, but it might not be what you think. You might think that somebody coming ready to scrap and talk crazy and do all that. It might be something much more small than what you thought. Um, and I tell people all the time the way that you get around certain things is to deactivate those triggers. So you learn your triggers so you can deactivate them, right? If you know that if so and so, like this, is how I do. I think about the worst thing somebody could say to me that could make me really just be upset, and then I rehearse what would happen in that moment, right? So let's say, I know so and so took $20 off my table, and they swear they didn't do it, but I got proof that they did it. Okay. To me, the worst thing that can happen is if I get there and they say to me, "So you ever found your $20?" and I know they took it. In my head, if you say that to me, I'm going off on you because you playing in my face now, right? You play, that's how they say it back in the day. You playing in my face, right? And so, like, you couldn't just say that to me, or I could say, Paris, is $20 gonna be something that's gonna make you lose your house, or is $20 enough to make you not be able to pay for your child expenses? And I'll basically quantify if $20 is a make or break thing for me. And once I decide that for me, I know it's not, then I'll make a decision and say, you know what? It is the principle that they should have never taken it. But I know people who have got killed over $20. It's never that serious to me. So while it is unfortunate that they chose to do that, the worst thing that's going to happen when they say that to me is I'm going to say, nope, I did not find it, and it's unfortunate. Obviously, whoever took it really needed it. That's my choice to react that way. You see what I'm saying? I chose how to react that way. In that moment, I don't even have to necessarily forgive them. I could just choose to not go there with them. I can choose to not let that burn me up. Because now it becomes a point of they even might feed off my reaction, right? I'm not going to give you that. We're not doing that. So you see, if you think about the worst that can happen and prepare yourself for it, you can walk into a situation. It's like how you prepare for an interview. Some people say you never know what they're going to ask you, but you can say, okay, these are the things they could ask me, and let me prepare myself for if they do, and kind of do like a mock presentation, mock interview about what you might or might not say. Same idea. Like prepare yourself for what the worst that you can imagine that they could say or do, and then just kind of prepare yourself for what a good response would be versus versus a bad reaction. Okay, so that's number one. That's the number two tip. I said number one. I put two fingers up. And so that's the number two tip about responding instead of reacting. Like it really becomes a way to just prepare yourself so you don't feel again out of control, right? And then the last tip I want to give is to really come to a point where you, how to say this? I'm going to say it the right way. You know your exit points. I don't stress over things because I know when something's not working for me. When something goes too far, when we talked about the boundaries again, when something goes too far, I am always prepared to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm not mad, but I also see that this environment's not changing and it can probably get worse before it gets better. So I'm going to exit stage right, or I'm going to go get some air. Sometimes we don't understand that you can tap out, and it's okay to tap out. We immerse ourselves in and we just all in and we just taking every shot. No, step out the ring. Sometimes it's too much. You have to know yourself in order to know when it's too much, and give yourself grace. And then if you step outside and take a break and then come back and it's the same stuff, then you can walk away and dismiss yourself, and it's okay. And then people say, well, see, that's why I shouldn't have came in the first place. Don't, and I'm never a person that says that anymore. I say things like, this was good that I came, because although it did not end up how I wanted it to be, I showed myself that I have options. I understand the situation and I can plan accordingly for the next situation. I'm not a victim of it. I'm not a victim of the environment. I am actually somebody that knows how to handle it. I'm aware of how to handle it. And therefore I don't have to not see all of my family, not interact with people because there was a conflict. No, I have conflict resolution, conflict resolution skills now, so that I know what to do in these situations, and I don't have to always just avoid them. So I hope this was helpful. You know, you don't have to opt out of the next family function just because there was recent conflict. It doesn't have to be that way. You can choose. You can choose. And speaking of choosing, this is a shameless plug, guys. This is a shameless plug. Don't forget about my emotional intelligence course. That's one of the things we teach. One of the things we talk about is how to deal with your emotions in a healthy way, how to live your life and not be ran by your emotions. It's easier said than done some days, but this is stuff that really is important and it's possible. It just takes some level of intentional time and work on yourself. Has nothing to do with anybody else. And the moment that you master, you'll see life just really start taking off in the direction you want it to. So hope this helped you guys. I hope you shared this with someone. If you didn't, please share it. Tag somebody. If you're watching the replay, please type replay so I can know you're watching it. You know, I believe this information is good. Again, I'm all about quality. I'm all about quality. I don't have to see you a million times a year in order for you to know I love you, and vice versa for me to know you love me. So I'm trying to be very careful about it so that when we do interact, when I do see people that I care and love about, that it's just really good, intentional time, right? Intimate time. And I want you guys to have the same. So these tips and hope it can help you out so that you don't have missed opportunities, right? I see more people saying that I just thought I was going to see them again, or I thought I was going to have this more time. You just don't know. You don't know. So you just have to be very intentional about all your relationships, right? Okay. So I love you guys. I really do. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. It's been real. I will talk to you guys a little later. Bye. Oh, and if you wanted to sign up for the emotional intelligence course, you can do so on my website, www.parispjohnson.com. It is scrolling on the bottom of my screen. I still have shirts on there for sale as well, but it's scrolling on the bottom of my screen, www.parispjohnson.com. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.